Hi, Glenn here from GMT Pointing Specialist Limited. Please subscribe and hit the like button if you find my videos interesting. I've just hit over 4,000 subscribers, which has surprised me. I didn't realise that many people wanted to watch pointing and listen to me dribble on. Right, this one's on grinding. So what I do when I grind is I do the perps first. Perps, bed joint, perps there, bed joints there. So what I'll do is I'll grind the perp out first and then I'll grind the bed. So what I'll do is I'll do about 10-20 perps and then I'll start grinding the beds so I don't lose my place. Right, so this is one that I've ground out. So this is fine. I've ground over the bed joint, so when I rake this bed joint out, it's going to remove any point in here. This one's a little bit shy, so when I grind that out, I'm going to miss that bit. So I'll have to tail it. It's called topping and tailing if you leave a little bit. And it saves you a lot of time if you grind it out properly. So what I'll do is I'll use a 4.5 inch blade because I can get deeper into the joint and I'm not risking hitting the bottom and top of the bricks in front of me. So you don't want to catch that brick and you don't want to catch that one. So if you get it in deep enough, there's no way near going to catch this. So that's the way I do it. So when I cut here, I'm going to take this out. So that's the way I do it. People do it different ways, but that's the way I find it easier. I've also seen people use these thin blades. I only use these blades if the mortar's too hard, and what I'll do is I'll grind the top, I'll grind the bottom, and then I'll chip it out. But these are for cutting, they're not for grinding. Where these are for grinding. 6.4mm thick, 4.5 inch. Like I've worked on a building where I've used 4.5 inch on the perps, and I've changed to a 5 inch to do the beds. It was just easier for me. Right, going to my dust extraction. So I go into the wall as much as I can, as long as, see that part on the grinder there, see how it's rubbed all the paint off, because I'm rubbing that part against the wall. That gives me my depth. I'm going in as deep as I can. So I use one of these dust extraction. I use one of these dust shrouds, the plastic, the lightweight. The only drawback is that they move a lot, so I tape mine in, and then there's screws in here. I actually super glue them in because they wriggle loose, but you've not got much play on that blade there. That's why I tape it up so it doesn't move up and down. So with these, you want to put the brush against the wall, so when you grind, all the dust hits the brush and comes down here to your dust extraction unit. Great little design. You got a big area there for the dust to go in. When you're doing your perps, make sure your brush is against the wall to catch the dust. But that's what I use. When I grind like that so I can actually see the blade. I actually prefer to grind like this. I can still see the blade, but it doesn't catch as much as the dust. But you know, it's trial and error. Just take your time when you start out grinding. If you've never ground before, get an old wall, you know, like an old garden wall that somebody's going to knock down, or just be very, very careful. Take your time. People tend to rush. That's where it causes damage. And especially if you're working for the first time on a client's house, you don't want to damage all the bricks. You want to take a bit of pride in your work. Take your time. Don't rush. And just do a good job. Because it's the standard of workmanship. Like some of this point in here, that they've had done is absolutely ridiculous. But if somebody goes, you know, that's £50 a square metre and I'm £80 a square metre, but your 50 gets you that, or your £70–80 a square metre is very, very neat, you know, you can't tell till they start doing it. But if somebody done that at my house, I'd go mad. So going back to the pointing again, I'll just go over it one more time. Do your perps first, put your grinder in so you're not catching that top brick, and if you were a little bit shy here like I did here, you can go back over it again and then do your beds, and that'll remove anything that's there. So when I've ground here, I'll be able to cut it out. 6.4mm disc, and it's a 4.5 inch mortar raker. Make sure it's for mortar, but normally that thick, they don't use them for anything else. So do your beds, and then you don't have to top and tail. Take your time, don't rush when you're grinding, because that's the most important part. Grinding it out, making sure nothing's damaged. You don't want to cut the edge of the brick. I've seen cuts in bricks like that, like I call it sad face, where they've just pushed it in too hard and it's dropped down the wall. So if you need any advice, please give me a message. I've got on my YouTube channel, it's called Buy Me a Coffee. You don't have to, but when I give out advice, people say I want to pay you something. So I've put Buy Me a Coffee on my YouTube. All you do is press my picture and there's a link that pops up. And if you put it through as friends and family, PayPal doesn't take their 20% or 10%, whatever they take. Thanks.